So today I'm going to be doing my final four lock-in predictions. We got Loud versus DRX, Navi versus Fnatic. Let's dive into these games. And we'll start with Loud versus DRX. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to kind of predict what I think the map veto might look like, and then go through each map as I see it and which team has the advantage. Let's start with the map veto between Loud versus DRX. And I think what will probably happen here is that Loud have been banning Haven the entire tournament, and that's one of DRX's best maps, so I don't see why they wouldn't do that again. And DRX have been banning Lotus the entire tournament, and so I predict they will probably do the same, but they have had time. And this is what's kind of weird about this series, is it's kind of a very unique situation for these two teams where they've had like quite a while to prepare for one game, and so things could have changed. But I'm going to say that DRX do ban Lotus, and that would end up with Pearl, Icebox, Ascent, Fracture, and Split as our 5 maps. And so I'm going to do this in the order that I think the maps will get played, and we'll start with Pearl because Loud have been picking Pearl. They've played it in all 3 series that they've played so far, and they've won it every single time. That does mean that there is a lot of, tape for DRX to study and maybe anti-strat if they do want to do that, and they've had a lot of time to do that. That will be a big part of this game, but we don't know how exactly that will go, of course. But I think overall, Loud have done pretty well on this map so far. They're playing this Viper Harbor stuff. It's quite unique. And so I do think I would favor Loud on this map. DRX also got stomped by C9 on this map as well, so Loud maybe could borrow some of C9's ideas of, how to counter DRX on this map. So I would be going for Loud on Pearl. But then I think we'd come to Icebox, where I would give the advantage to DRX, where DRX have looked really, really good on Icebox. We haven't actually seen Loud's Icebox yet at this tournament, so it's difficult to know how good they actually are at this map, but DRX have looked pretty good with their Viper Harbor. We might even get double Viper Harbor on Icebox. I actually wouldn't be too surprised with that, but I do think that DRX have looked good with it, and I think there's more to give as well with a Viper Harbor. DRX could pull out some stuff that maybe they haven't shown just yet. I wouldn't be surprised, if they did that on this map, so I would be giving the advantage on Icebox to DRX. Then we come to Ascent, and this is a bit of an interesting one because we haven't seen Loud on Ascent yet either, but the old Loud was, the best team on Ascent in the world. They lost one game of Ascent all last year, and I'm going to assume that with 3 of the same players, that this team will probably be pretty good at Ascent, although I can't be sure, but I would say that's likely. DRX, meanwhile, they lost to BBL on Ascent early on in their tournament, and they're still playing their no Sentinel comp, which, obviously comes with its weaknesses and gaps that can kind of be exploited. So assuming that Loud probably are still very good on Ascent, and seeing DRX lose to BBL on this map, even though it was close, that kind of makes me think, okay, probably there is a slight advantage here for Loud as well. And now we come to Fracture, and this one I've kind of put down as a 50-50. Loud have won 2 overtime games on Fracture, which, isn't convincing. If you win in overtime, you easily could have lost that map. So it's not been convincing for Loud on this map, and they're playing this double duelist. And although I really like their double duelist on Split, and it looked really good, on Fracture it's been a bit up and down. There are some rounds where it looks good, and some rounds where it's a bit like, not so sure about that. But the same is true for DRX though as well, because they lost to Talon on Fracture, and I didn't like their comp. It didn't seem to really suit them, I think. And if I was the coach of DRX, I'd just be going back to what we used to do, right? Put RB back on Neon, even though I know he's not playing Duelist on any of the map. Just put RB on Neon, let him zoom around and, jump around and all of that and slide and whatnot. Put Buzz probably on Killjoy, which, he's played before. And, just do the stuff that you were doing before when DRX looked really good on Fracture. That's probably what I would do because, they played that comp against Talon and it didn't go great. So I just, revert back to, hey, remember when we were really good at this map? Let's just do that. But even so, I think that would make this a 50-50 map where, I don't know who would be better on this map because Loud have won it 2 times, but very close. DRX, would either have to change comp or be playing a comp that it didn't look amazing for. So yeah, don't really know what would happen on this map. And then finally, the last map, if we got there, would be Split, because Split always has to be the 5th map in a best of 5. That's just kind of the rules. And I would say probably slightly favoring Loud. We haven't seen DRX, so again, don't know how good exactly they would be. DRX have always been, okay at Split, but we have seen Loud stomp NRG, so I feel, at least decent about Loud and what they can produce on this map. So I'll be giving a slight edge to Loud probably in this one as well, but again, there are some unknowns here. And so overall, that would mean that I kind of see Loud as the favorites for this one, just kind of map pool wise. I think their map pool might just be a bit better than DRX's right now, but both these teams are in a kind of weird spot. This game, I think, is very difficult to predict because I think the preparation of this game could just determine it, right? Because they've had so long to prepare for this game. If you've come up with some really cool anti-strat ideas, your opponent has no idea how to solve them, then yeah, you'll probably win. And I can't talk to which team would be better at doing that. But I think, what we've seen so far, and with the crowd advantage as well, I would be favoring Loud ever so slightly. And so let's lock in Loud for our first semi-final. And now we come to our second game, Navi versus Fnatic. And if this game is played at the level these two teams have played so far, this will be the best game of Valorant that's ever been played, because these two teams have played some amazing Valorant, and if they just stay at that same level, oh my god, this is going to be an absolute giga banger. Now, the map veto thing could be interesting because Navi always, or, the old FBX, Angel and Doom Bros, they like to just throw weird stuff out there, right? They like to not let you know what they're banning and picking, but Navi have been banning Haven, and Fnatic have been first picking Haven pretty much all the time. So I'm going to assume that it just makes sense. If you were banning Haven before, and that's, Fnatic probably think that that's their best map, then I would ban Haven anyway, right? If they think that's their best map and you were already banning it. So let's assume they ban Haven, and Fnatic have been banning Pearl, which has looked like a good map for Navi in some of their games, and they've been banning Pearl the whole tournament, so I think that they would probably ban Pearl as well. And that would leave us with Ascent, Icebox, Fracture, Lotus, and Split. So let's go through, and we'll start with Ascent, and this is where I would give the advantage to Navi. Navi took it to Leviathan, another amazing Ascent team, and basically put their flag down as, yep, we're the best Ascent team in the world, deal with it. The old FPX core as well has, destroyed Fnatic on this map in the past. It was a long time ago, but, they've always kind of had just the advantage on this map over Fnatic, and so I would assume, again, that probably would be the case, that, Navi are just very, very good on this map, that, Fnatic, Ascent is always a map they've been okay, but never amazing at, and so, I would probably give the advantage to Navi here on Ascent. But then we come to Icebox, and almost the exact opposite is true, where I would give the advantage to Fnatic, because Fnatic have multiple times dismantled the old FPX, who now are on Navi, on Icebox before, and so I would say, yeah, that's probably the way that this might go again. And, Fnatic have arguably been, the best team on Icebox, if not right now, definitely in the past. And I am a little uneasy about how their attack side against 100 Thieves went. It wasn't pretty. It looked quite shaky at times. Maybe it was because there was, this threat of throwing a massive lead, and it was kind of a psychological thing. I don't know, but it didn't look great. And so, I hope they have had time, to kind of figure out what went wrong in that game and maybe, adjust and fix it. But, that did leave some doubt in my mind. But I still, even with that doubt, their defensive side looked insane. So I'm just going to say, yeah, Icebox here, I would give the advantage to Fnatic. But now we come to Fracture, and I don't know what to say for this map, because both teams in their game prior won 11-1 on their attack side on Fracture, so both of them know how to attack the map, and we didn't really get a chance to see either of the defensive sides from these teams, because they just won the game too fast. So I have no idea. This could be like the best map of Valorant that's ever been played, potentially. Because both these teams, looked so good in their previous game, on the attack side at least. So yeah, this one I have honestly no idea. Could really go either way. Both teams looked obviously incredibly good in their last game. So I'm just going to say, don't know. And then Lotus might be up next as well. And again, this has to be a don't know, right? We're talking about a new map. We haven't seen Fnatic yet on Lotus, although they have let it through a couple times. They have, been willing to play it. It's been a map 3 for them, but we never got to see that map 3 from Fnatic because they've just been winning 2-0. So Lotus, new map, haven't seen one of the teams on it yet. Navi looked okay-ish, but, not like amazing. Their attack side was good, but we've seen a plenty of good attack sides on Lotus. Really is that defensive side where they struggled, and, no one yet has seemingly found the answer to that Lotus defense side. Maybe Fnatic have it, and I don't know, but, also maybe they don't, right? too tough to call, really, without seeing Fnatic on a new map. I have no idea how this would go. And then we'd come to Split, and once upon a time, the old FPX core 13-0'd Fnatic on Split, and that was 12 on the attacking side of Split. So maybe a bit of revenge here. I mean, imagine if we got to this map 5, Fnatic versus Navi on Split. Oh my god. You know, the storylines and all of that with this 13-0 there, maybe a bit of revenge for Fnatic. And I doubt that they would get 13-0'd here. You know, that would be pretty crazy. But we haven't seen Navi play Split yet at this tournament, but Navi have always been pretty good at Split. Maybe not their best map, but, you know, they've pulled it out from time to time, and yeah, they always looked pretty good at it, so I would assume they're pretty good at it again. Fnatic were running the old double duelist stuff, and you know, got a pretty convincing win on Split as well, so I would assume that, yeah, this could be another map where it really is just a bit of a coin toss, and, you know, maybe we get a classic map 5 OT Split banger. You know, is that in the cards? I kind of hope so, because that would be really hype. But I actually could see that, you know, being a real possibility. And so that would leave us with one map that I think Fnatic can win, one map that I think Navi will win, and 3 that I don't know. So I'm going to do what you should always do in these situations, you know, any important decision, let the wheel decide. And so we're going to click it midway through just there on the both teams and see who comes out on top. It looks like the wheel has very firmly decided, almost exactly in the middle, of Fnatic. Okay, so the wheel picked Fnatic, so we'll go for that as well. And then we'd end up with Loud versus Fnatic. Now, I'm not going to talk about this game in any great detail because it might not happen, and so that would be a waste of everyone's time. But if we did get this, I think either way, whoever won Navi versus Fnatic, I would probably slightly favor, just because I think that they have been, you know, the slightly better team in this tournament overall. If Loud did win against the RX, I think, you know, that could upset it a bit because the crowd factor would, you know, maybe be a big factor in this game, but I do think that, yeah, I would be favoring either Navi or Fnatic just because their map pools seem a little deeper than the other two teams, and I think they've just been a bit more convincing across the board in terms of how they've played. So, I mean, I did this all 3 last time for Fnatic before the tournament started, and so I'm about to curse them again. Congratulations, Navi, on your win already. But yeah, I would be favoring either Navi or Fnatic, I think, in this game, just because of how they've looked in the previous games. And so those are my final 4 predictions. I can't wait to see these games. Let me know who you think is going to win the whole thing as well, and I will see you there.